sure Trump would rather have us talk about his hand than Jeffrey Epstein. That controversy is causing so much trouble for Trump that he recently ordered it to be put in a cell and for the cameras to stop working for 3 minutes.
And that kind of humor is why we're all mystified that Stephen Colbert's show has been canceled and won't continue after next year. Darn it. It is the Chris Plante Show. Mike Opelka in for my friend Chris Plante, who's on vacation, headed to Iceland. I think he's going to Reykjavik, the northernmost capital of a country in the world. But I'm here during the vacation for Chris, trying to get to everything, trying to cover everything. We talked earlier about the cancellation of the Stephen Colbert Show, and I'm just so happy about it. So happy about all of that. It makes me ebullient. I'm all lit up about it. The interesting thing, in that one specific clip from Colbert, we'll have to get to it, was the health story that broke yesterday about the president. But there are many things we will have to address today, many topics we will have to get to today, including the various and sundry Jeffrey Epstein stories that are floating out there. There is the story that the Attorney General will be asking the courts to release, I guess, the grand jury testimony as relates to the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. The House is passed or is voting on a non-binding resolution that would call for the release of the Epstein files. Former Vice President Mike Pence wants all the Epstein files out there. J.D. Vance is talking about the Epstein. There's a lot to get to with Epstein. And then there is the story that the Wall Street Journal created a firestorm over yesterday. And this letter, the letter that was part of a 50th birthday celebration for Jeffrey Epstein, and that President Trump has said he didn't draw the picture, that I guess MSNBC keeps using the word body. It's a body drawing. I wonder what they think of when they see Picasso's drawing of a woman. Would they call that body? No, but Trump says he didn't draw it. And I've looked at some of the writings of Donald Trump on articles back in 2011. I think it was 2011 or 2013. Maybe it's 2011. Donald Trump was profiled by a magazine called Spy Magazine. Long ago in a galaxy far, far away, there was a magazine called Spy Magazine. And in the March issue of Spy, they quoted several articles, and including one of them from Vanity Fair, and they were talking about the return of Donald Trump. And Trump tore out a page from that article and made comments on it. You can see his handwriting, and it looks nothing like the drawing. His signature has not changed. But it's fascinating to me to see this, and the fact that the Wall Street Journal would run with this after talking with the president, because there was a phone conversation allegedly happened Tuesday, and the president said, no, that's not something you want to publish. They published it. Really, you think this is going to destroy Donald Trump? It certainly doesn't look like something Donald Trump would have drawn. If you've seen it and you know, you're welcome to weigh in on this. Of course, 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. What it has done, what the publication in the Wall Street Journal has done, is given a whole bunch of folks who dislike the president the opportunity to go on cable television and make some pretty crazy and outrageous speculative statements. And I guess among them would be Bill Kristol. We'll get to Bill Kristol, but I was watching CNN, and thank God Scott Jennings is still on the panels at CNN. But one of the Democrat strategists who I guess was on Kamala Harris's team, Adrian Elrod, thought that Donald Trump could permanently lose his base over Epstein. Here was the exchange.
Whether or not he drew this picture, whether or not this was actually a letter that he, actually wrote or typed out or whatever it was with the weird picture, that he drew behind her or didn't draw behind it. The bottom line is that to me is somewhat irrelevant. This is someone who said infamously on camera that came out about 2 months before the 2016 election, I can grab women by the you-know-what, and he still won the election. So I think that kind of persona perhaps is baked in. I think the bigger issue here is that this has caused the MAGA base to kind of lose its mind.
Wait a minute. You're saying the MAGA base is losing its mind? I think we were watching CNN yesterday and quoting CNN yesterday when we saw that the MAGA base was not, in fact, losing its mind. The MAGA base is still staunchly behind the president, somewhere between 88 and 90%. But you continue on with your crazy rant, madam.
And the question is the MAGA base going to come back together, or is this a base that is fractured, that is significantly fractured? Have you lost your mind, Scott? Because people have been, your colleagues, the Charlie Kirks of this world, people you know very well, have been all over the place saying that they're very disappointed in Donald Trump.
Well, I should say that Charlie Kirk and Laura Loomer tonight have both said to other outlets that they don't necessarily believe that Trump wrote this or what have you. So
nobody believes it, lady. Nobody, honestly, in their heart believes it.
They're starting to circle the wagons on this, which is what Scott suggested earlier.
The facts of Donald Trump's base are this, and we reported on this morning here on CNN. Since the Epstein business started, his job approval among Republicans has gone up. He's over 90% with Republicans. It's not hurting him with his base. I know you're a Democratic strategist, maybe not an expert on the MAGA base.
In his base but
look what's happening. He's gone up. Why? Because while we're all sitting here dealing with this nonsense, out in real America, he's signing legislation on fentanyl. He's talking about the AI future in Pennsylvania. He's securing the border. Big, beautiful bill. So his numbers are going up with Republicans. This is a fantasy that Democrats have been engaging in since January, that Republicans would have.
Yes, he's right. And thank God he's there. Thank God. I know Scott Jennings is considering running for the Senate, and that's a possibility. But thank God he's there, because he is the firewall against the stupidity that's allowed on MSNBC and CNN, on CNN specifically, all the time. We'll find out. But this letter is so crazy. If you look at it, it does appear to be two different hands involved in the construction of the letter. I can't even believe in any way, shape, or form that President Trump wrote this letter. Now, does it sound like something you would have said or sent to a friend on their 50th birthday if you're a couple of crazy guys in Manhattan? Maybe, but I don't think he drew that. Not in any way, shape, or form. If you think it happened, you're welcome to weigh in. You're welcome to share your thoughts on it. But no, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And we have to share with you Bill Kristol. Bill Kristol, a notorious Trump hater. He's never going to be happy if Donald Trump is in office. Never going to be happy if Donald Trump is alive. Kristol was on CNN last night, and David Axelrod was there as well. Bill Kristol, weighing in, decided that he needed to read the letter on air. He needed to make it storytime theater on CNN.
Donald. So it goes like Donald, : we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Jeffrey. Yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey. As a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. For me, I mean, that's a kind of weird. What is enigmas? I mean, is that a word that Trump and Epstein used to convey something that they shared? I mean, we know that. So I think this will raise many more questions about how much how close Trump was, let's put it this way, to what Epstein was involved in.
They are reaching for everything. I can't believe Kristol is just so. Talk about a guy who has the most TDS of anybody in North America. It might be Bill Kristol. It might be. Of course, the number here, 888-630-9625, 888-630-9625. Dave is calling from Savannah Park in Maryland. Dave, welcome to the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, good morning.
What's up,
good
sir?
to chat with you.
My pleasure.
Well, Epstein was a known quantity with what went on down in Miami and the apparent sweetheart deal that he got, and Trump's name was bandied about as being a friend of Epstein's, but it's also, I don't know the timing of it, but Trump apparently banished him from his life at some point. But I've got to wonder if maybe the Biden administration raided Epstein's island for the express purpose of finding dirt on Donald Trump, but then they didn't find it, and that's why they never released anything. And then
that's a really interesting thought, and I don't believe there's any flight manifest that shows Donald Trump flying to the island. He was on the plane, but I don't think he's ever been to the island. Now we know Bill Clinton likely has. So I would imagine that there could have been two purposes to the Biden administration taking a look around Epstein Island. One was to look for incriminating evidence against Donald Trump, and the other would be to look for incriminating evidence against any powerful Democrat and then see that those were all disappeared, as it were. And I go back to some of the Dan Bongino statements from a couple of years ago saying that, look, all of these files were in the FBI offices and now they're not there anymore. And Dan ranting and raving about how the destruction of evidence just doesn't happen at the FBI unless it's some kind of willful cover-up. So, yeah, I'm concerned about that. But a lot of this does go back to exactly your point in that, as you said, Dave, that if there were dirt on Trump, there were all these years that it could have come out, and it hasn't. And now this latest piece, this latest letter in the Wall Street Journal is raising questions, but the president is staunchly defending himself, and we're expecting some kind of lawsuit against the Journal, against maybe even Rupert Murdoch. That's what was said yesterday. But thank you for that observation, sir. We appreciate it. Chris Cuomo, not somebody who's actually sympathetic to Donald Trump. His News Nation show was talking about the Trump-Epstein situation with the Wall Street Journal, and Cuomo had something to say. Chris, would you like to talk to the class? I think you would. Here he is. I'm sorry. He was mouthing it for a minute.
I get that he's pissed off, okay? And he's not wrong. This Wall Street Journal piece is a hack job, okay? And he says he's suing Rupert Murdoch, who he, was his buddy. They have, Fox kind of made Trump, and he's suing the Journal. He's suing everybody. He says he didn't write the birthday letter that they're ascribing to him, to Epstein for his 50th birthday. I mean, it's so stupid, okay? The Epstein story is about abusing kids who didn't have the power or agency to do anything about it, that rich and powerful people may have known it was going on and they got away with it. That's the story, okay? It's not that Trump liked a scumbag, okay? Now, I get that in the media this is great because it's bad for Trump and he's going crazy and he's going to pump and move the story for the Wall Street Journal right now by saying it's fake and it's wrong. But it doesn't move the needle in the country. It's going to make you some money, Rupert. Great for you, just what you need. But this is why we can't get anywhere.
I do believe that the release of the information from the grand jury testimony may be a game changer, may kind of start slowing down some of the outrage out there. We'll see. What do you think? 888-630-9625. Thoughts on the letter? Have you seen it? I looked at it. It's stupid. And why did it come out now? Why now? There's an interesting, crazy theory that broke out at MSNBC last night and relates to J.D. Vance and all of this focus on the Epstein story. Is J.D. Vance behind it? This might be the craziest thing ever. It's Mike Opelka for Chris Plante on The Chris Plante Show.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris.
It is the Chris Plante Show. Welcome back to it. Mike Opelka in for my vacationing pal Chris Plante. A lot to get to. We will talk about the president's health because there was a very interesting announcement yesterday, and the word normal appears in several of the announcements, but some people on the left side of the mainstream media keep forgetting about it. And it also contradicts something said by the crazy man, James Carville. But we'll get to that around the corner. We'll talk about the request the president's making to investigate California and the billions it wasted over 16 years with their high-speed rail scam where nothing's been going on. But we've been talking about the swirling story around this latest Epstein shoe that dropped about some letter that the Wall Street Journal says Donald Trump wrote it, drew the picture, the body picture that MSNBC is calling it, of appearing to be a naked woman. He did sign it, but the weirdest thing happened on MSNBC last night with Lawrence O'Donnell, who's come up with what may be the craziest theory ever. You can vote on the craziness of this theory. 888-630-9625. Listen to this one.
His vice president, J.D. Vance, is demanding tonight. J.D. Vance, the person who would move up to the presidency, if this issue becomes so difficult that it drives Donald Trump out of the presidency through impeachment or resignation. We have seen this happen to a president before, and Donald Trump has never been weaker. And
Whoa. Donald Trump has never been weaker? Did you see the numbers with his base? 90%? And overall approval rating at 43%, which I think is what the 77 million votes works out to. But continue.
J.D. Vance, of all people, is saying, show us the letter, demanding to see the letter. Donald Trump did not dare to say, where is the letter, in his social media post tonight, which occurred 40 minutes after J.D. Vance's social media post tonight. Donald Trump is not asking to see that letter. Donald Trump doesn't want you to see that letter. But J.D. Vance wants you to see that letter. If J.D. Vance creates a groundswell demand by more and more Trump supporters for the release of that letter, that could do more damage to Donald Trump than anything that has ever happened to Donald Trump in his entire political career. And
really, Lawrence? Can somebody do a wellness check on Lawrence O'Donnell? I mean, there may be a fever involved here. They might need to do a medical intervention here. We'll get into it more on this. It's Mike Opelka for Chris Plante on The Chris Plante Show. Welcome back to The Chris Plante Show. It's Mike Opelka for my friend Chris Plante on this Friday. We're celebrating the week. There's good news. There's good news out there. I know there's a lot of crazy stories out there, but there is good news. The Colbert Show has been canceled. CBS has awakened and said, okay, we're done with this. The weird part is he gets almost a year to stick around and collect his $16 million check. And that probably has to do with the reality of that CBS don't have anything to put in there. And I don't believe they want to send that time back to the affiliates. They want to keep it. But we're talking about this latest story in the Jeffrey Epstein case that kind of popped up late yesterday. This supposed letter that Trump says he had nothing to do with it. He didn't write it. He didn't draw the body picture. And Lawrence O'Donnell's craziness last night, saying that he thinks that J.D. Vance is pushing this so J.D. Vance can get Trump out of there and he can be elevated to president. Yeah, really. But here's the rest of Lawrence O'Donnell's craziness.
If J.D. Vance wanted to defend Donald Trump tonight, No one, absolutely no one, would have advised him to say, where is the letter?
Well, the letter, we've been told, is not real.
No one would have advised him to try to provoke Rupert Murdoch tomorrow to release that letter.
Has anyone seen the letter? I don't think I've seen it.
No one would have advised J.D. Vance to provoke the Wall Street Journal tomorrow or someone else to release that letter. That is the most dangerous thing J.D. Vance could have said tonight. If J.D. Vance wanted to harm Donald Trump tonight, wanted to start forcing him out of the presidency, demanding to see the letter would be a very good way to do that.
These people are absolutely bat crap crazy. They really are. Apologizing for whispering, because I think whispering is creepy. But these guys are crazy. They've absolutely lost it. Absolutely. Let's check in with a few of you out there listening. 888-630-9625 is the number. Joseph is in Kansas. Joseph, welcome to the Chris Plante Show.
Hey, good to talk to you there, Mike. I tell you, I don't think anybody's buying this, and if anybody is, when are they going to learn? This is such a standard Democrat playbook. You know, make up something that's totally bizarre, and then no matter what you say, use it against you. Trump said this was a hoax, and what did they say? Jeffrey Epstein, it's not a hoax. Well, clearly he's not saying Jeffrey Epstein is a hoax. He's saying this letter is a hoax. And they did this. I remember about 5 or 10 years ago, there was a Republican who was coming up, doing really, really good. And maybe you remember this. There was an issue about he knew some young lady that was in high school, friend of the family's or whatever, and they brought out a yearbook with his signature on it. And there was a kind of a sexual innuendo message in the yearbook. And then when they released the yearbook, same thing. They're like, release the yearbook, release the picture. And when they finally did, they noticed that his signature was there, but the supposedly compromising message was in a different ink and a different handwriting. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and this goes back to the same thing where Billy Bush was talking about, you know, the pussycat hats and all that other stuff. When Trump never said that he grabbed women, he said they will let you grab them if you're a celebrity. And if you don't believe that, ask Wilt Chamberlain. So, you know, everything they do is just to try to get hype and anything to damage Trump. So shame on any Republican that is even remotely thinking that this is a problem.
Well, Joseph, you remind me of the adage, the lie gets halfway around the world before the truth puts its pants on. And I think that's where we are in this case as well. Thank you for that observation. Let's go to Kyle in Arkansas. Hello, Kyle. Welcome to the Chris Plante Show.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking the call. Hey, was I wrong? Did I understand that it is supposed to have his signature on the letter?
Well, it appears, because I've seen a photo of the alleged letter. It's a typewritten letter with the body, and I'm using air quotes with my fingers, the body drawing of a woman, and it's a line drawing of a woman, and then Donald Trump's signature in the area where one might assume naturally occurring hair would grow in a person's trunk, if you will. So,
Understood.
Yeah, that's where the signature is. But that's it. The rest of it appears to be drawn by, in my opinion, by a different hand.
Well, so what's to say that this signature didn't happen during the Biden administration with the auto pen?
Oh, that's pretty good.
Just food for thought. Thanks for taking the call.
Thank you. Yes, let's counter one alleged hoax with yet another. The calls are coming in fast and feverishly. Now let's check in with Cher. Cher is in Illinois. Hello, Cher. Welcome to the Chris Plante Show.
Hi there. It's good to hear you. Yes, you know, I just got up and turned this on, and here we go again with, you know, the Russia hoax type nonsense. It's just boring. You know, guys, it's just boring. Would somebody tell the left not to bother anymore? they're going to have to prove they're going to have to prove this rather than he has to prove his innocence. I'm sorry, I don't believe a thing about it, first of all. And second of all, I don't care. The guy's doing a terrific job. The place, America almost, went down the tubes under the Democrats, and we need to get somebody else in a lot of positions in Congress that have their heads on straight, because there are some really wifty, crazy people there. But
your state is a prime example of a place where we need some new blood. I would like to see some new blood in my old home state of Illinois. So I agree with you, Cher. But, you point out a really important thing here, that this is boring, and the Democrats are now highlighted for being the party that's not offering solutions to the problems of the country, but trying to personally go after the guy who's been elected and is doing what looks to be a bang-up job. And we're seeing people on the left who are now stepping up and going, look at this, it's working. The tariffs are working. The economy's coming back. Companies are building here. We had a $92 billion pledge to build in the state of Pennsylvania in the areas of energy and technology just on Tuesday. So that's a good sign. Excellent point there. I appreciate you being there, Cher. Thank you. Let's grab one more here, at least one more. Howard is in Manassas, Virginia. Hello, Howard. Welcome to the Chris Plante Show.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I just honestly, I know there's nuts out there, but I really don't understand who believes these folks anymore. I know the liberal news media is not as powerful as they once were, but they're. You think, should we be in World War III right now, based on a lot of the reporting? If we attack,
yes,
the tariffs. I mean, it just goes on, and instead of learning, they just find and then, oh my gosh, they got us now. And see, Trump has such a proven to be correct track record. I mean, I don't even like to talk about it because people think I hero worship him. I don't, but he and his people are so much more right than all the others are. It's just the truth. And I think people are getting tired of believing the crazy left, and they're seeing the actual facts of what Trump and his people are doing, and it's working. So keep up the good work.
Yeah, thank you, Howard. That's a great point. If you don't have anything to run on, then you try and rely on personal attacks and innuendo and rumor, and that's kind of what I feel about the Epstein thing. But I also am happy that the president has directed the attorney general to release, or get the courts to release, as much of the grand jury testimony as possible, and I think that may be happening as well. I'm curious to see what the Wall Street Journal's response is going to be to a suit that Donald Trump has promised to file against the Journal, against Rupert Murdoch, as it relates to this letter. We shall see. We shall see. Let's grab one more call in this, and I got to move on to the president's health, because it was a big story yesterday as well. Donna in Frederick, Maryland. Hello, Donna.
Well, hello. Happy Friday. And I want to say, boy, they are really dreaming on the left. They are so detached from reality. And one of the previous callers mentioned the raid on Epstein Island. But the bigger raid, in my humble opinion, is the one on Mar-a-Lago. Remember when Trump said we have everything back in 2016 all the way through now? Look at how many years later. I don't think that's changed, and I think we're going to learn a lot more in the future.
Well, I'm dying for the transparency. I'm hoping to see the transparency, but thank you for that, Don. I appreciate you being there. I mentioned the president's health, and one of the moments yesterday at the press briefing from the press secretary involved Caroline Leavitt telling us about a recent examination of the president as relates to his health. Now, he's a 79-year-old guy, and if you look at him and you watch his schedule, it is astounding to me how many hours the guy works. He's always standing around meeting people, shaking hands. He's answering questions for hours on end in cabinet meetings, etc. So no surprise when you hear what are considered to be, I think, normal complications to a 79-year-old man's life.
On another note, I know that many in the media have been speculating.
Hang on a second.
About bruising on the president's hand and also swelling in the president's legs. So in the effort of transparency, the president wanted me to share a note from his physician with all of you today. In recent weeks, President Trump noted mild swelling in his lower legs. In keeping with routine medical care and out of an abundance of caution, this concern was thoroughly evaluated by the White House Medical Unit. The president underwent a comprehensive examination, including diagnostic vascular studies. Bilateral lower extremity venous Doppler ultrasounds were performed and revealed chronic venous insufficiency, a benign and common condition, particularly in individuals over the age of 70.
So the initial action about the swollen ankles, a man in his late 70s has swollen ankles, and they call this common. Common, but wait, there's more.
Importantly, there was no evidence of deep vein thrombosis or arterial disease. Laboratory testing included a complete blood count, comprehensive metabolic panel, coagulation profile, D-dimer, B-type natriuretic peptide, and cardiac biomarkers.
So the guy got a full workup. The President of the United States, and I don't ever remember hearing this much clarity during the previous administration, even close to this.
All results were within normal limits. An echocardiogram was also performed and confirmed normal cardiac structure and function. No signs of heart failure, renal impairment, or systemic illness were identified.
No heart failure, no kidney failure, nothing. The guy's in great shape for a man of his age. Absolutely. I think, and I'm making my own sideline doctor diagnosis, I think he needs to play more golf. I think when he was out walking around playing more golf, he probably had better circulation. He's been doing all these cabinet meetings, sitting down talking to all these dignitaries. He needs to do all this on the golf course.
Additionally, recent photos of the president have shown minor bruising on the back of his hand. This is consistent with minor soft tissue irritation from frequent handshaking and the use of aspirin, which is taken as part of a standard cardiovascular prevention regimen.
So the president, like many people over the age of 60 who have been directed by their physician to take the baby aspirin or the 83 milligram aspirin every day to help keep their blood pumping through their heart to prevent plaque buildup, that can, I guess, make you susceptible to bruising on your skin. And he has been shaking a lot of hands lately.
This is a well-known and benign side effect of aspirin therapy. And the president remains in excellent health, which I think all of you witness on a daily basis here. So the president wanted me to share that note with all of you. I'm happy to take further questions on it. We will provide the memorandum from the president's physician to all of you, as we always do.
And it was provided. It was posted yesterday on the internet, and I applaud the administration for this transparency, something we did not get from the previous administration. But the last point is something we need to delve into. The last topic that was brought up, the bruised hand. And what was said months ago by the alien, I think he's from another planet, James Carville. We're going to get to that. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, we will play for you what Carville, the scurrilous rumors that Carville was spreading. I mean, this guy just keeps saying the worst. How does he still have a gig? That's what I want to know. We'll get to it. It's Mike Opelka in for Chris Plant on The Chris Plant Show. It is The Chris Plant Show. Welcome to it. Mike Opelka, that's me, sitting in for my friend Chris Plant. If you're curious about the stories that catch my attention, I post them every morning at pureopelka.com. I'm on social media, too. Thanks for being here. We were talking about the president's health. Yesterday, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt talked about the president has a common issue with circulation that is something people in their 70s will experience. and so something hopefully can be treated. It sounded like it was nothing really of an emergency. But when she talked about his hand and the bruising of his hand, it triggered a memory in my head of the crazy Cajun, James Carville, the guy who has made decades of political hay on the one line he gave Bill Clinton. I'm sure he had other ones, but it's "the economy's stupid." He gets credit for that one that catapulted Clinton into office. But Carville has since been saying some really crazy stuff. He doesn't like Donald Trump. And he seems to be focused on Donald Trump's hand bruising. And Carville, who's not a doctor, and I still maintain he's from another planet, Carville had something crazy to say about the cause of the bruising on the president's hand.
You should have reason to believe that is a leader of severely diminished capacity, which may be even caused by underlying, what do you call it, syphilitic? I don't know what the medical word for it is. In other words, he may have the clot.
He may have the clot?
That's just what this is.
He may have the clop. But he's been going at this for a while. Carville keeps focusing on Trump's extremities.
That's not a hollow observation that I'm making. Pay very close attention. We'll zero in, and you can actually see on the hands what's going on. There are a lot of serious diseases that manifest themselves in the extremities. And I think this is, as we are listening to the banging of the war drums, that we're moving what I think is recklessly toward, which could be a catastrophic decision. We need to make sure that this man is mentally intact.
Interesting how you weren't concerned with the mental acuity of the last guy who was the president of the United States, but now you can speculate based on no personal in-person observation and claiming that the current president of the United States has syphilis and claiming that he's not healthy. He said this more than twice, at least 3 times that we've heard. When is the left going to stand up and say, stop it, Mr. Carville? You need to be retired like Stephen Colbert. All right, taking a break. When we come back, third hour of the Chris Plante Show. Join us.